What are you up to there, partner?
What's up, man? I'm just trying to cut some weight on my quad for Sunday.
Ah, okay. Getting ready for the big race Sunday, huh? Alan Duscher, A. Duscher for short. I'll be there Sunday too.
Right on.
Hey, look, if you're trying to cut weight, drilling holes in the tire, that might not be your best idea. Have you thought about loosening up your bolts? Hey, now hear me out here. How tight do you tighten up your axle nut?
80 foot-pounds.
80 foot-pounds. Drop them to 50 foot-pounds each side. That's 60 pounds right there. Top guys are doing it.
That's a great idea.
Man, this is gonna be great. Which bolts do you do? Your axle, your hubs, sprocket's a big one, clutch, flywheel, handlebars too.
I don't know. Are you sure?
It was on Banshee HQ. Yeah.
Huh.
It was on CNN too.
It has to be true.
All right, man, let's give it a go. It even feels like it's easier to start. They did say that on CNN too, that it would be easier to start.
This is awesome.
That is a thing. See you at the races Sunday, buddy. Welcome back to Basket Case Garage. In front of you here is the Voodoo Banshee in exploded view. Literally, almost every single piece of the Banshee is laying out in front of us right now. I can't wait to get this thing together. If you haven't already, I definitely recommend going back and watching the series from start to finish if you want to see details on all of these parts and everything here. But today, you and I are going to get together and we're going to build this thing and we're going to finish it today. So we're going to start in a little bit of a different order and we're actually going to put the engine in first. So usually I put the A-arms and the swing arm and everything on and I'll make it a roller and then I'll put the engine in. But we've got a really nice scissor stand that Rocky Mountain ATV hooked us up with and I love using that thing and I think it's going to be easier to put the engine in first. So we're going to come back and look over all of these parts and everything. But let's get right into it and put the engine in. All right, here we go. I appreciate you guys coming in early today and cleaning out the shop so we have a nice clean workspace. Now, like I said, since we have this Tusk scissor stand, this should make it really easy to put the engine in. This will be the first ATV I've ever built with this stand. We built the Great Ape with it. It was really, really helpful for that. This is actually designed for a bike. It has a 300-pound weight limit capacity, so we might push the envelope just a little bit today. Is that good right there? I have to think when I have this engine, will it be easier to do this? I don't know. Now, there's a number of pre-assembly things that I did. If you're familiar with working with aftermarket stuff or you've ever built your own bike, you know, it never goes together just 1, 2, 3, just like that. It's never smooth, man. Yeah, maybe. No, it's never smooth. I went around on any powder-coated frame. A lot of times you'll get, you know, little bits of sand and, you know, your threads are just, the bolts just don't want to thread in easy. So I go around with a trace. I did all of my threads. You can see they're all nice and clean. Did the entire frame. Hopefully that will help things go nice and smooth. Some of these areas I had to test fit. That's because some of the stuff just didn't want to fit upright. We're using all new A-arms, new suspension. Sometimes it just doesn't want to fit. So I did a lot of test fitting. Then I went around to all my bearings, made sure that they're all packed with grease, greased the inner lips of the seals, stuff like that. Some of the stuff I didn't do because I want to do it with you guys, because I know when you guys are assembling your stuff, sometimes, you know, these are steps that if nobody teaches you how to do it, you just won't know. I've also tried to organize all of my bolts and everything. In here is the stainless steel bolt kit. These are all the old bolts, and I've cleaned them all in the vibratory tumbler. That gets all the rust and stuff off of them, cleans the threads out pretty good. And then I just put a thin coat of Rust-Oleum satin black on these things. It's a really nice coating that keeps them from rusting. It's not ultra durable or anything, but you can wrench on these a couple times and the coating actually stays on there. Now, before we put the engine in place, there are these little things, they're called damper spacers, and they go on your engine mounting points. One goes right here, and then put another one back here on the opposite side. It goes on the front left side and the rear right side. Now, what a lot of guys will do is they'll take the lower struts. These are the lower torsion bars that mount up to the bottom of the engine and then to the frame. There's guys that won't run these, and instead they'll put these bushings on both sides. So it's all 4 points instead of just the opposing sides, and that'll firm up the engine and the frame a little bit more from twisting. However, that does put a lot of stress on the frame, and depending, you know, what kind of riding you're doing and how big of a bore you're going, that can actually twist and break the welds in your frame. So I actually bought 4 of these to possibly test that out, and then we could lose a little bit of weight by not running the torsion bars. But I've decided not to do that because the amount of weight that we're saving by not running these torsion bars is really negligible. And to put the extra stress, I just don't think it's worth it. So just don't forget to put these on. So I'll pop this other one in place back here. All right, now according to the manual, they want you to put everything in from the right side. And just as a preventative measure here, try to not scratch up my frame. I'm just gonna throw this fender towel in here, and hopefully, you know, that'll help us from botching this up. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can do this. Oh, you know what? I should take the stator cover off. That's a lot better. Okay. It's a really good practice to anti-seize all of your engine mounting bolts. Really, most of your bolts on these builds. It's just a good idea to do this. It makes tearing it down way easier. And I would also normally put a jack under the back of the engine and get those holes to meet up. But since we're trying a different technique here and starting with the engine first in the stand, I can't get under there. So luckily, the engine's not that heavy, so I should be able to lift it up by hand, fit it into place, and just slide this bolt in. All right, let's see if we can do this. All right, we're good now. For these engine bolts, I'm just gonna put a little bit of blue Loctite on there. I have a locking nut too. You don't want these things coming loose. I'm not gonna tighten these down until all of the engine mount bolts are in there. Now up front here, we've got 2 motor mounts on either side. I've sanded down the mating surfaces on here and on the frame. That's just a good way to keep the engine grounded. So we'll put these in place kind of just roughly, and we're gonna start using our stainless steel hardware. Now you have to use either anti-seize or you can use Loctite, like right here, and that's gonna act as a lubricant. If you don't do that, the hardware can gall and get seized. And it's just, it's something that you don't wanna find out what it's like when that happens. So just go ahead and use your Loctite. Now these get tightened up to 22 foot-pounds. I'm gonna snug them up by hand because where these are located, I can't really get a good swing with my torque wrench. And then both the front and rear motor mount get tightened down to 33 foot-pounds. All right, engine's in there. That really wasn't too bad. I don't think we had any casualties either. All right, let's check out all the cool parts going into this build. I thought it would be cool to just kind of scan over everything and look at what's going into this build. So come here, man. Don't be afraid. Come here. Let me show you these parts. This is actually insane to see all this stuff laid out in front of me. This is a ton of preparation and work, and it's finally just displayed right here. And even though it's not together, it's almost like it's complete. It's just so cool. So I figure we'll start at the top corner here. Sable 2 is the color on here, and there's a tiny metal flake in it. It looks really good. There are some modifications done to this frame. You can see we got the pegs I welded on there for the Pro pegs that I designed. We've got OEM Yamaha plastics right here. These are the custom heel guards that we have going on there. Wicked Metal Designs hooked up some custom pegs. We've got Wicked Metal Designs made a custom grab bar. It's got Banshee right in the side. This thing is awesome, and it's a drop grab bar. It's just like the one that I have on my 250R. I love that thing. This is our carbon tank cover by Banshee Taco. 4Works seat cover. This thing was a bitch to put on, man, but look at the color. The color pops like a mofo, and it matches everything perfectly. Underneath this, I have a brand new seat foam. I got it with a firm compound because the Banshee's just too soft, man. Feels great, it's like riding a couch, but I think that for performance, I think it's gonna be better to have a little bit more of a firm seat. And then we got the engine, man. This should be in by this point in the video. I've got the custom cover on there. Green is just, it just says Voodoo, dude. And we got the CPI pipes here, had those Cerakoted by Big Iron Cerakoting. We've got these, I got new lights, and these should be pretty trick because they have a blue halo. Should be awesome to see those on there. Got all the graphics right here. Designed these, sent them out to AGMX, and they print them. They always come out really nice. Got my logo on there. This is my design logo. All of the sponsors right there. Got our Kenda tires on Douglas G3 rear rims. We've got the rock out front rims, Kendas in the front as well. And then moving up here, we've got our brakes. Got the custom shifter that I drilled out. A lot of lightweight stuff on this machine. Got our DRW rear disc guard. Got the sprocket guard already on our billet sprocket. Extended tusk axle. Alba steering stem. Rocket Ron did some custom suspension on this. This is a long travel rear shock with Elka linkage. That's supposed to be incredible. I actually got to ride a Banshee with that setup, and it really was good. Fox floats in the front, great suspension. Excited to try those, and it's nice and light. Got the GPR steering stabilizer. Got our ATV high bend bars, Hermosi 720 SBC bar clamps, and we got our Hermosi thumb throttle. Front billet hubs by LSR that I machined down to make them a little bit more lightweight. Got OEM lower A-arms, billet lug nuts up there, aluminum tie rods. Got a -1 swing arm. I know this could be the bane of this entire build with all the power that we're gonna have. This thing's gonna be like wheelie machine to the max, but maybe it'll be great, who knows? We have good suspension going on here. That's really big with, you know, helping how these things perform and everything. Got TM Design Works, chain slider. I have a super lightweight carrier. Did some custom modifications to that myself, but that came from Mod Quad. We're pretty much ready to rock and roll, man. All right, so now that you guys have seen the parts that are going into this build, we're actually ready to get into some of the custom fabrication on this thing. So the engine is in place. We're all torqued down. I want to put the carbs in place, and then we can fit our airbox, because that's going to be totally custom. We're going to use an OEM airbox, but the whole setup is going to be different. All right, so let's get these carburetors in place. These are 34 millimeter Mikunis. They are TMs. All right, now we'll put our airbox in place. If you're new to the series, you might be asking yourself, well, why aren't you just use pod filters, you know? That'd be a lot easier, and it would. But I really want this to be a trail machine, and I've already had pod filters on the trails, and it just doesn't work out. So I'd like to have an airbox. All right, now I'm gonna fit up this exhaust because it could interfere with the airbox. These pipes are so damn big, I don't even know if this is gonna fit. Whew, man, I must have got a set of pipes that was made on a Monday, because the fitment on these things is not so good. It was a bear getting these things on. They do look sweet though, I will say. But I mean, I don't know if it's because we're taking so much and stuffing it in a small area or what. But this pipe mount right here, it just barely made it. It's loosely on there right now, so I'm gonna have to tighten that up. I might have to elongate the hole here, but really, I think this was welded maybe a little bit too far forward. I don't know. But it does fit on there. We got it on there. We're in business. Now, however, unfortunately, I don't know that we're going to be able to run the airbox. Okay, so if you put the airbox in here, at first glance, it seems like it's going to work. But if we put these boots in here, I mean, it does. We could buckle it up like that. It would probably work, but it's not really lined up right. The box is crooked itself. Like, you really have to kind of twist it to get it to work, and that pulls down on these carbs and everything. That's putting stress on the boots, and I just don't like it. And it's also up against the pipes, so they'll probably be melting. What I've decided to do is, to get this build moving, we're just gonna run pod filters, and then I'm gonna have to make a custom box on my own. If anyone ever tells you that they just run pod filters with outerwears and they never have any problems sucking up water, either they're not running on messy terrain and hitting puddles and stuff, or they're just lying to you, because I've learned the hard way that is just not true. Now this is going to help a lot with the pod filters, actually, because it'll help keep cool air surrounding those filters instead of the super hot pipes resting up against those filters. And it's also going to keep the fuel a little bit cooler because the fuel lines run around there. These are from Cascade Innovations. And I've also got a pipe connector. I'm going to throw this grab bar on while I'm at it too, because the exhaust actually mounts through the grab bar. I'm going to round these out so they don't jab you. And now we should be able to slide this heat shield right up to that hose clamp. In theory, this is the first time I've ever worked with this stuff, but apparently this is really good stuff for keeping your fuel cool
and keeping cool air coming in those filters.
All right, so the pipes are looking good. They actually, everything fits up pretty nice now. You can see how that would keep the air nice and cool for our intake. And I slipped our clutch line in there when you guys weren't looking, because the further we get into this, the more difficult it's gonna be. It bolts way down there in between the carburetors. I had to take the one carburetor off to get to it. Now I did notice one thing. So on this custom grab bar, there's no mounts for the tail light, and I would like to run that. So I think I've come up with a solution. So the tail light will typically mount right about here. There's usually two little tabs on either side on the OEM grab bar. And if you're wondering why this light's so small, in the earlier years of the Yamaha Banshee, they had a tinier light, and then as the years went on, the light got bigger. And this is actually a more desirable tail light. But anyways, since those tabs aren't there, what I'm gonna do is make little L brackets that go from here to here, and I can use through bolts for the grab bar, and that should work out pretty nicely. And I'll use rubber grommets in the middle here because these are rubber, which gives a little bit of shock, so when you're jumping around and stuff, the light won't break. So if I put a rubber bushing in between there and then bolt it right at this mounting point, that should work. So I found something that's gonna make things really convenient and easy. These are actually the brackets that come with the headlights, and we're not gonna be utilizing those. So they have a hole right here in the middle that'll fit right over that. And on this side, like so, it should fit perfectly, and really we don't have to do anything. So they're made of like thin galvanized steel, which is perfect, lightweight. It doesn't need to be very strong. I'm just gonna cut these off right here, sand them a little bit, and then throw a little bit of flat black paint on them. And while we're at it, we might as well freshen up this bracket as well. All right, well, that's drying. I'm gonna move ahead here. I'm gonna put my coil in place. I did take the sander and made sure that we have bare aluminum or bare steel on the undersides of these, and also on our bracket here. That way we'll have a good ground. I'm gonna put a little dielectric on top of our spark plugs here. Ooh, man, satisfying click. That looks freaking gnarly. All right, I think it's a good time to hang our linkage, rear suspension, and swing arm. Bump this up a little bit, make it easier on ourselves. I already have people asking me, is it worth it to buy this Elka linkage? Because it is expensive. It's 550 bucks just for this linkage. So, you know, I get it, that is really expensive. I don't know that I'm a qualified person to say whether or not it's worth it right now, because I've ridden a Banshee with this linkage and it was great, but I'd like to actually get some of my own seat time on it before I could recommend it. I'm not going to tighten any of this stuff down until the quad's on the ground. It's just a good idea not to tighten any of your suspension components until there's some weight on it. All right, let's get our swing arm assembly in place. I've got a billet lightweight swing arm bolt. This is from Mac Daddy Racing. Saves like a pound of weight. I think it's 3/4 of a pound, but still, definitely want to make sure you put a ton of anti-seize on this, because if this thing gets seized, man, that's just no good. And especially because it's aluminum, you don't want to skip this. All right, now hopefully this goes in fairly easy. All right, looks like it's not gonna be a problem. Sometimes this stuff is tight, man. And then check this bad boy out. Got a titanium nut going on here. This will be getting Loctite, but for right now, I'm not gonna tighten this down until, again, there's weight on the machine. So I'm just gonna spin that in place. Now that stainless steel bolt kit did come with stainless steel hardware for the linkage, but for the linkage, I do like to use the OEM stuff. Put anti-seize on all these, and even though these have lock nuts on them, I still like to use just a little bit of blue Loctite. All right, now let's get our custom Raptor shock in here. This will be a long travel shock for the Banshee. All right, now the back end of this thing is getting pretty heavy, so I'm gonna swing around to the front end to kind of counteract that weight a little bit as we're balancing on this stand. So I'm gonna put the steering stem in. First thing we gotta do is put our new bearing and seal in place. We've got this Tusk kit, comes with everything you need. Really easy to go in place. Now since my frame was sandblasted, it's got a little bit of roughness in there, so I'm gonna go in with this little Scotch-Brite wheel and the Dremel. This will clean it right up. Right now we've got a sealed bearing we're going to pop in place, and I've already got a socket. It's a 30 millimeter. It fits on there perfectly. Just to tap it in place. These usually don't really require too much. It's barely a press fit. We may even be able to do it right here with the mallet, the dead blow. Yeah. It popped right. It's almost bottomed out already. There we go. And we've got this, I guess, reverse nut you would call it. There's a little bit of an unthreaded portion that's going to face downward. I'm going to put a little bit of anti-seize on here because if these things seize up, it can be a pain in the ass. You really don't need much. And you may be asking yourself, how in the hell am I going to tighten this up? Well, you just got to take a nut that's got a 30 millimeter outside diameter. I believe this is an M20. I'll put it on the screen if that's wrong. And that pops in place like so. We're going to use that same 30 millimeter socket. And just snug this down. That's good. And then we'll press the upper seal in place. I've already packed this seal with bearing grease. And then we've got a smaller seal that goes on the underside. All right, now we can put our steering stem in place. This is the same stem that came off. Just had it powder coated in texture black from Bonehead Performance. You just want to make sure that your seal is not rolled. Come up top to the upper steering stem clamp. I've got grease in this thing. Definitely don't want to put this in dry. That's what she said. And then we've got a seal that goes on the top and the bottom. And you want to pack these with grease also. And then we've got the plate that goes on the front. I've got blue Loctite on these. There is a locking washer piece that goes on here. I don't use that though. I just use a little bit of Loctite. And then there's a special bolt that goes over here. It's like a double bolt slash nut. The radiator will bolt up on this side. Now from the bottom we got a collar. You don't want to forget that. And again, make sure you don't roll the lip of your seal because it's easy to do. I think we're okay. Now I'm putting red Loctite on here. Whoa, shit. And then a washer and this sweet ass burnt blue titanium nut. The reason I'm using the red Loctite is because this nut has it's a tall nut, so you can't get to the cotter pin in there, but the red Loctite will be just fine. Feels good. All right, let's get these A-arms and shocks in place. Again, got to use some anti-seize on these bolts. All the stainless steel hardware. And even if you're using the regular steel hardware, it's still a good idea, just so the shit doesn't get seized. Now, these are actually made by Caltric. They're reproduction A-arms, and they're super affordable. Like literally 80 bucks for the lower pair, which, I mean, that's great. They're pretty good. I mean, I would say the build quality, you could tell me these are OEM and I'd probably believe you. And then some of the stuff was a little janky. These cup seals aren't the greatest, but they're gonna work. All right, now we've got our Fox Float 3s. These things are freaking sweet. They're lightweight. Now they didn't fit on here initially. I had to do a little bit of modifications on them. So in here, you can see that notch underneath the shock. You can actually see the mark I had put on there. It won't fit unless you put that notch there. You can actually see the shock body sticking through. So let's go ahead. We're gonna take that area out with a burr, and then we're gonna take a ball peen hammer and just put a little bit of a belly right here so that the shock fits, and we'll have no problems at all. So here's what I'm using. I'm not even gonna use my Milwaukee. This is like I think you can get this Dremel for 20 or 30 bucks on Amazon. I'll have one or a similar one linked below. This is a very cheap job to do. And then you can pick up these burrs for, it's like 10 bucks for a 10 pack of them, and they take care of steel, aluminum, everything really well. So we're gonna take this down real quick. I couldn't find anything online about this. I think because most people don't use the factory A-arms when they get upgraded suspension, especially the Fox Floats. I see they come with a lot of They're usually in a kit that comes with aftermarket A-arms, and I think they fit no problem with those. But anyways, here we go. Let's take this down. All right, so there's the finished product. It takes about 5 minutes to do. You don't need a machine shop or any special tools to do this stuff. All this stuff you can literally pick up at Walmart. And like I said, I'll have the tools linked below. And I put a little bit of an angle here to match the body of the shock. So it should look nice and clean. We'll throw a little bit of paint on there just to so we don't get any rust or anything. But before we do that, let's see if the shock fits in there. And if we have to, we'll put our little belly there so that it gets clearance. All right, now I'll show you guys what I mean about this shock body bottoming out. Basically, this part hits the base. So we'll fit this in here. Now right there, it just barely makes it. But that's because there's a flat spot on the bottom of the shock. But as soon as you rotate it, see it starts to come up, it won't clear. So what we're gonna use is this ball peen hammer on the round side. You can use any object, really a steel object that's shaped like that. And we're gonna put it right where the belly of that shock sits. Then we're gonna take a dead blow. And that's gonna give us a nice little belly there. So you can see it left a nice little belly there. Now let's test fit this. Oh yeah, you can see it drops down lower now. Let's throw the bolt in there and make sure that it doesn't bind. Nice, that's what you want. All right, so as you can see, it really wasn't too difficult. Now we're using D-arms, so we're gonna have to put these on before we put that top shock bolt on, or these wouldn't fit. These replace the factory J-arm. So the J-arm typically is the one bar that comes around the front. This is gonna be a little bit stronger, plus it looks freaking sweet. These came from Voodoo Banshees. They have them in stock, which is awesome because ATV parts are not easy to come by right now. They did require a little bit of a modification to get everything to fit right, but that's kind of, as I'm learning today especially, just nature of the beast with aftermarket stuff. But you can see now they fit on there perfectly. And I did put needle bearings in here. The OEM Yamaha A-arms and stuff usually use those plastic Delrin bushings, and they wear out pretty quickly, especially with the J-arm. So I'm not gonna recommend it just yet because I haven't tried it, but the needle bearings in theory should make these last a lot longer, and there should be no wiggling at all. All right, now we're gonna put our spindle on, and this is adjustable with these D-arms. So it's possible that we may not have this right. Probably what I'll do is put the hub on, the wheels, and we're gonna have to eye it up and see if we can get that about right before we tighten everything up. All right, let's get our tie rods on. I've got these custom ones from Nice CNC. I guess they're not really custom because anybody can buy these, but they're really affordable. It was like, I think 35 bucks for both of them. And I think it came with tie rod ends too. I mean, that's a really good deal, and it's lighter than the factory ones. They're really thick. I don't know what that is, like 3/4 of an inch. So they're gonna be nice and strong, and it's still, we're saving a little bit of weight. Put a little bit of anti-seize on our tie rod ends, because these things, man, they get seized on there. What a pain in the ass that is. These are gonna go in with the tie rods facing up. Just gonna open these up and kind of ballpark this for right now. All right, let's build our hubs. We've got these sweet ass LSR billet hubs. Did a little bit of lightweight action on these. You guys have followed the series probably know what I'm talking about. A little controversial there, but anyways, got our, this is a wave rotor from Tusk. I believe it's called a Typhoon rotor. That's gonna go like so. Looks freaking sweet. And then I've got titanium hardware here. I found this kit on eBay. It was like 25 of these for a pretty affordable price. I forget exactly what it was, but I'll have them linked in the description below. They were for a Ducati, and they fit the Yamaha perfectly. I'm gonna put a little bit of red Loctite on all of these. And then these I just zip in with the Milwaukee Impact. Now I'm gonna pack my seals. And we're gonna be using some titanium castle nuts for our spindles too, man. Freaking lightweight. Oh man, it is coming together and it looks freaking sweet. I love the colors that are on this thing. The blue back here matches the blue up here, matches the blue in the lines back there. It all fits really nice. I think the only thing that's a little out of place is the Elka linkage, and unfortunately that's only available in that color, and I wasn't gonna get it re-anodized. So that'll be, you know, it's on the underside, but the rest of it, man, I just feel like it flows really, really well. So I want to throw the wheels on the front before I put the brakes and everything on, just to make sure that I think we're actually on the money. They look like they're straight up and down, like perfectly. I don't want there to be any camber. I've tightened all of the castle nuts and everything, put my cotter pins and everything in there, did the lower spindle nut. The only one I didn't do is this top one, because if we have to adjust this, we'll be able to pull that out and spin the top ball joint so that we can adjust the camber just a little bit. So before I do that, I want to put the axle in place because, man, the front end's starting to get heavy. And I mean, everything is, it feels nice and tight, but it's solid. The last thing I want is for this damn thing to tip over. So let's go ahead and put the carrier and the axle assembly together. All right, we're gonna put our super custom lightweight bearing carrier in place and put a little bit of anti-seize in here. Got a good amount of weight reduction on this thing. Check it out. I drilled all these holes here, both sides. I replaced the collar in the center, that spacer that's usually made of steel. I replaced that with 6061 aluminum. From what I read, the yield strength of 6061 and mild steel is almost identical. So we should have no problems with that, but I'll be the guinea pig and try that out. So I won't necessarily recommend that just yet. But you know, if I don't have any issues with this, I'll probably replace every one and every carrier that I have, because that actually saves a decent amount of weight. So we'll go ahead and just pop this in place. There we go. And you can see how these cam style tensioners work. Brings the whole system backwards or forwards to tighten or loosen up your chain. All right, now the sickness level is about to get out of control. Once we put this rear axle assembly on there, there's so many trick pieces on this, billet parts, lightweight stuff. This is a step that you definitely don't want to skip, is anti-seizing all of your splines and the contact areas in the center here that go on your inner bearing race, because you don't want those to get seized. I wonder how much weight in anti-seize we've added to this machine so far. Too much. I've got this DRW sprocket guard, an aluminum hub by Boss Racing, and an aluminum sprocket from Primary Drive that came from Rocky Mountain ATV. And I am using titanium hardware on this as well. This is a very light unit. Even with the protection on there, it's way lighter than stock. I don't understand why this won't go in. Oh, son of a bitch. I was fiddling with that for like 5 minutes. I didn't even notice the rotor guard was hitting this chain guide. I'm gonna roll this as far forward as I can so that we don't get interference there in the future. You can see how far up that comes. Mark where this needs to be. I think what I'm gonna do is just cut up here so that we've got plenty of room, just come straight across. Man, this smells awful. I don't know what this stuff is made of, but it's tough as nails. Something tells me this is not going to like the sanding disc either. Man, whatever this material is, it just really doesn't like the Sawzall. So luckily, that sanding disc did a good job, and it looks pretty clean. So let's see if it fits. Oh yeah, there we go. Perfect. Now this is an entirely aftermarket setup back here. Nothing here is OEM. We've even switched to a roundhouse style carrier from the traditional Yamaha style, which sucks. But it looks like everything lines up well. It spins nice and freely. Just want to make sure that everything is good before we button this up. But I think we're ready to put the axle nut on there, and that'll be it for the rear end. Now my camera battery is about to die, so while I'm charging you guys up, in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and do the wiring, because that's boring, but it needs to be done, and it's tedious. So I'll see you guys in a couple hours. All right, guys, it's the next day. I've been hard at work, or hardly working. Which is it? I don't know. But I did get a lot of stuff done. I got the wire harness almost entirely on. You can see back here, got the CDI, the rectifier, got everything bound up really nice and tight. Here's our new, well, not new, but our old taillight, all freshly refinished. That coat came out really nice. And our brackets, that really worked out perfectly. Every once in a while you get lucky and you have a piece that can turn into a bracket just right. That came out really nice and clean. I also evened out the exhaust pipes, the mufflers, because they were uneven, and man, that bothers the hell out of me. If you guys see these alien looking things up here, what the heck is that? Man, these are fender supports. They're made by Mod Quad. They're made specifically for the Banshee, and they're gonna keep your fenders nice and perky. I did test fit up the fenders, and they look freaking awesome. They got these little bumpers up here, and they're aluminum, so they weigh almost nothing. But they go right on top of the, if you have an OEM grab bar, you'll have the support under here, or if you get one of these Wicked Metal Design ones, they come with the supports also, but they work together with those to keep your fenders looking really good. Like saggy fenders, nobody likes that. Now I've got the wire harness running all the way along here. I tried to keep it as nice and tight as possible. There's really no other way to run these ones other than over the filter. Those connect up to the engine and the stator. And you can see these heat shields are gonna help with all this stuff. I really like that it's just gonna guard against, you know, melting the wires. I also ran the fuel lines. I have them cut. They're ready to rock and roll. I test fit that. They're good to go. And that's another thing, because on the other side, I had the same issue with the keying carburetors. The fuel line comes out right here, and it can be very close to the exhaust. But the heat shield makes me feel a lot better about that. I actually had an issue where this fuel line melted with the old setup, and I had to reroute it and everything, but it's just difficult with that location. So the heat shields are gonna come in clutch there, and I did run the throttle cables. My clutch cable is in there, so the cables are just run around the front. They're ready to rock and roll. Now I stopped up here because I wanna put the headlights on together. The old headlights are actually, they're looking pretty lousy. So I went and got some new ones. These are the old ones. You can see it's yellowed. Well, the one was yellowed and the other one wasn't, but I want them to look like brand new. So these have done a great job. They still work great. They're just a little bit yellowed, but we're gonna be putting these on, and I figured I would just do that with you guys. Before we do that though, I wanna make this thing a roller, dude. I'm just itching to see this thing on all fours, and actually I want to see what that seat feels like and everything, and just, you know, enjoy the machine a little bit. I got a little bit of work to do here. We have to put the disc guard on from DRW Performance. Now they're made for this aftermarket setup, but aftermarket setups are always going to be a little bit different, so there's usually a little bit of modification that you have to do. I have the same system on my 250R and it works great, but basically this piece comes up from underneath, and then this brace goes over top. Now what we're going to have a problem on our setup is this gusset right here. So when this goes in place like so, you can see it's holding it up. So that's not a problem. Like I said, it's fairly universal. It just needs to be modified to fit to your setup, because I mean, there's tons of different swing arms and stuff you can run. This is an aftermarket from the swing arm shop. So it's easy enough to do. We're just gonna trim this thing up and we'll make it fit perfect. So I'm gonna try to compensate for the welds as well. And I wanna make it so that we have a good amount of room. You can take a lot out of this material and it'll still be strong. The one on the 250R, I really ended up removing a lot of material, and I've never had an issue with it, and I've had that thing down some seriously rocky trails. Okay, so here's the area that I marked off. We're gonna start small, and then, you know, we can always take more off, but we can't add material back on. So I'm gonna see where it sits with this material off, and then on the back side, there was a small portion that I noticed we could shave out to make it fit a little bit better. Now, this stuff is made of UHMW, and it is super impact resistant and very slip resistant, or it's slippery. So like it'll glide over rocks and stuff really well. It takes impacts really well. I've used this on a couple bikes now, and it is super durable. So working with this stuff can be a pain in the ass. However, I found out that these aluminum burrs eat it up really quickly, and it makes it really easy to work with. So that's what we're gonna be using. I'll have these linked in the description below. Let's see how we made out. Oh yeah, see, now that fits right in place, man. Man, that is beautiful. Now there's one other thing I want to check. I want to throw some bolts in here, just loosely, to make sure we have this lined up. And when you roll the carrier, that stay moves. So I want to make sure that we're going to be able to adjust it
and we're not gonna have any interference. That's pretty much all the way forward, all the way back. I think we're good there. Oh, I just noticed another small interference issue. If you look down there, that little stay is rubbing up against the guard. So that'll be an easy fix as well.
We're moving up to an upgraded dual piston rear brake. This is from Zoom Zoom Performance. It's actually designed for a Yamaha Warrior, but it will work on a Banshee as well, as I've already test fit it. So now we just need to make sure that the guard will work with it. So let's see how this fits up. All right, let's keep moving with the rear brake system. Got a brand new master cylinder here. Man, this to me is like a no-brainer. This was 15 bucks from Rocky Mountain ATV. A brand new aftermarket. And if you look at the old one, I mean, honestly, they look almost identical. I don't know if maybe this is another aftermarket one from back in the day or not. It looks like it has a Yamaha part number on it. Well, no, I think this is the OEM one, but man, this thing literally looks almost exactly the same. The only thing it doesn't come with is the Reservoir, but for 15 bucks, man, it's a no-brainer. It's not even worth rebuilding the old one. I did put a little bit of blue Loctite on these. Pretty much all the brake components. Usually I put Loctite on them.
All right, and we're gonna put our brake lever on in just a second here. I'm gonna put some grease on this because this is a moving part. Don't wanna skip this. Then here's our custom brake pedal. This is that one we shaved down, added some more adjustment holes. This should be really nice. Now's the time to get it on because I think you have to take the foot peg off in order to get to it. All right, now we got this custom fuel line. Well, it's actually just a universal, but it should fit perfect. I measured it up against the old one. And I actually subtracted an inch because we're running a shorter swing arm. All right, now I think I'm gonna run it in this orientation. This way, there's plenty, once we have this button down, there's plenty of room here for this to move when the swing arm goes up and down. Shouldn't have any interference or anything. And now, this looks like it could be pretty unruly just sitting it like that. We could zip tie it, but I found these trick little loops they're universal, kind of like swing arm loops for brake lines. So we're gonna I got 2 of them. Honestly, we could probably get away with 1, but since we have the 2 of them, I'm going to run them probably like here and here, and that'll help keep things in line. Plus it looks really sweet. All right, we're almost ready to get this thing on the ground. We're gonna throw our back billet hubs on. These are by Boss Racing, really trick, super lightweight, and they're locking hubs. You can see it's got a slit right there and a bolt right here to tighten it down. Now there are spacers that go on here if you wanna widen it out, but we're going super narrow for this first time around. So I'm gonna line this up, drop it in place. Now most axles come with steel spacers that go on here. I found these in aluminum. They're the exact size. They're for a Harley Davidson. They are wheel spacers. They're just made for a Harley. And they're about 1/3 of the weight of the other ones. So we'll throw them on there, spin our axle nut in place. Now normally I would red Loctite these, but I'm not tightening them down right now, so I'm just gonna leave them in place. I will, however, snug up our bolt back here. I try to line these up so that they're on the same spline on both sides. Man, this is one ultra compact machine, almost to like a goofy looking level. I have not quite imagined that it would be this narrow in the front end. It just looks, kind of goofy, I'm not gonna lie. You gotta remember, we're gonna be getting +1s on this. So the front end will be 2 inches wider, and I think that will balance it out quite a bit. You can see we got to pull those upper ball joints in just slightly. We'll get those things perfect. Looks like both sides are about the same. That was really the main reason I put this thing down here. And also now with the weight on the machine, we can tighten up all the suspension components so that I don't forget, because I have done stuff like that before. From the side, it looks badass. The back end is probably, I'm gonna say, it's a good bit wider. I'm not even sure exactly how much, but it doesn't look quite right. Looks a little odd. So this is kind of janky, but until we get the +1 A-arms, I might actually invert the rear wheels, because that will bring them in just slightly. If it looks really weird, I'm putting it back. I don't want it to look weird. We'll see what it looks like. You know, we're doing trial and error, I guess. So I'm gonna tighten this stuff up, and then I think what I wanna do is the controls so that it's a little bit easier to push around. While I'm tightening all the bolts, since we have it off the stand right now, I'm gonna go ahead and put the torsion bars in place before I forget. All right, we got our work cut out for us. First thing I wanna do is spin the rear tires around. I just wanna see what that looks like. Hopefully it doesn't look too goofy. This is just not what I expected. Wow, what a difference. Yeah, believe it or not, that actually looks better. It's more, the ATV is more square. All right, I actually feel a lot better about this now. I think that looks much better. Now that everything is square, I like that look. I don't like it when you have a really wide rear end or a really wide front end. It's got to be square, it looks off. So even though we're a little bit more narrow, I think that's going to be really fun and nimble. And we've got the extended axle so that, you know, in the future when we do extend it out, we're good to go. Let's measure this. 44.5 inches. So this is still wider than a stock Banshee. A stock Banshee is 43.3 inches. This is just over 44.5. All right, I took care of the upper ball joint. Now we are officially 100% tight in the front end, except for the shock. I just realized I did not tighten these bolts. Anyways, I wanted to show you guys the brakes. This is kind of boring because, I mean, nobody really wants to put brakes on a machine, but when we do the next top quad, I'm gonna give everybody a huge head start. I'm gonna be catching up to them so quick, I don't wanna run into them. So we have to put brakes on there. Anyways, I'm going to be upgrading the brakes. That's why I really wanted to point this out. These are YFZ 450 shocks, first gen. I believe 04 to 06. Is the same style, or 06 to 09, I think. I don't know, but they're YFZ 450 brakes. I'll have these linked in the description below, these exact ones, and they're a direct matchup. These are OEM spindles, and they bolt right up to it, so it should be a really nice upgrade, very easy upgrade, and it'll be significant difference. So we have a dual piston as opposed to the single piston, front and rear, so we're literally doubling our braking power on this machine. These are really affordable too. They were like 45 bucks for both. And I've used these reproduction brakes before, and I've never had a problem with them, so I'm confident in using them. The only thing that won't fit is the disc guard if you're gonna run that. And you do wanna Loctite these bolts. And then same as in the back, we're gonna be putting these green brake lines on. I'm just gonna put them in place for now, because we're gonna have to route them differently, I'm sure, once everything's on there. All right, we're almost finished with the front end here. Let's put on our GPR stabilizer. This thing looks freaking menacing with all these holes in it. All right, I'm gonna kind of leave it loose like that. All right, now I did put a little bit of blue Loctite on both of these bolts. All right, once you've got the actual stabler tightened down, I believe then you wanna make both of these arms 90 degrees. So you have kind of like a tie rod adjustment here. So right there is about 90 degrees. So we're gonna stretch this out a little bit. So the last thing we're gonna have to do is tighten down this clamp on the steering stem. I'm gonna wait until our controls are in place and everything, because I wanna make sure that the whole assembly is nice and straight before we clamp that down. So I'm gonna go ahead, put the radiator in. You can see I put the brake lines and stuff in. We're gonna do all that stuff beforehand so that, you know, it's just a pain in the ass when the radiator's in the way. Got a brand new radiator going in. Nothing wrong with the old one. I just felt had to put a new one in place because everything else on this build is gonna be looking fresh. Now I want to put my inline coolant temperature gauge in place. So what I like to do is try to find a spot where it's going to be easily viewable. So I think I found a spot right here. If you guys come in closer, I'll show you exactly the spot. So it's got to be on the upper coolant line. If you do it on the lower coolant line, it's not going to be as accurate because the hot coolant comes out of the top. It comes from the bottom of the engine, rises up, and then out the top. So that's where your most accurate reading is going to be. I actually had it in the wrong spot when I took this off. So I don't know if I just was unaware of the coolant flow or what, but I'd like to put it right here. That'll be a really accurate spot right out of the head. and angle it to the side just like this, because right through here, if you lean to the side of the bike, you can look right through that spot and it should be easily viewable. Ooh man, you can see how close we're getting to this stabilizer mount. That's why I didn't want to tighten this down just yet. I think we'll be okay though. You can see that the connecting rod is kind of on an angle. I think it would still work that way because of the type of joints that they use on here, but I think it'll be better if I flip this and put it on the underside. We've got enough clearance under there, and then it'll be a straight shot. A lot of stuff on this quad is taking a really long time. This is a quick video for you guys, but almost nothing is fitting out of the box. Like that stabilizer is literally the least of my issues. Just everything on this machine it's tedious. And the reason I'm saying this is because if you guys are doing, you know, a project of your own and you're like, man, why is it so easy for Mike? How come everything he does goes so quick? It doesn't, dude. All this stuff takes time. Like these clamps back here, believe it or not, that took like an hour and a half. I had issues. I drilled the holes just a little bit off and I couldn't get it to fit just right. And man, it was just a pain in the ass. And then finding these rubber grommets to fit in here, I ended up clipping them off of actually an old 250R line to find ones that were nice and snug in there that would hold it. And just to make sure everything is good and straight and, you know, everything fits right. It's time consuming, man. It's tedious. So take your time. If you get frustrated, go and get a snack, man, or get some rest, because that's when you start making mistakes. Now, speaking of custom things, I want to put the front bumper on. That's an easy thing. It's good to do an easy thing. Let's hope. That came off of the quad though, so you know, hopefully that one goes on. But this rear reservoir for the back shock, man, we have like a 3-foot long lead here. So I have an idea of where to put that. That's gonna be our next custom thing though. So let's get the bumper on and then we'll do that. Finally, something that goes on easy. Just waiting for a stripped bolt or cross threads or something. No issues. I think I'm gonna cry. That really is, I'd say hands down, one of the best bumpers ever designed. It looks good on every machine. Put our foot pegs in place real quick. I really do love this stand. It just makes life so much easier. All right, so here is our dilemma. We have this incredibly long lead on our rear shock reservoir. So I'd like to do this in as clean of a way as possible. I had Ron put an extra long lead on here because I really had no idea what we were gonna be dealing with the airbox and stuff. And I didn't wanna have one that was too short. But really, like if you get an Elka, it's a really short one and it mounts up under here. I don't know if that would interfere with the airbox or not. Regardless, this is what we're working with. So I've come up with the idea of mounting it back here because it will be out of the way. The wire won't look unsightly or anything. We can tuck this up under here. And I did come up with an idea for how to mount this here. I think we can do it with existing holes. I think I'm gonna utilize this hole right here and take this bracket that came with that mount and bolt it through that hole like so. Put the mount on the end there, and that should enable us to mount it just like this. That won't interfere with the seat latch or anything, I don't think. And it's adjustable because we've got this kind of setup here. I'll be able to adjust this in or out to get it where I want to sit. The only thing I may have to do is, because if you see the silver underneath, that's the bottom of the rectifier, but I can just put spacers under the rectifier. I actually have nice aluminum blocks that just kind of, what are those called? Standoffs, make it, drop it down like, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, just so that there's room for the bolt head in there. I think it'll work, so I'm gonna try it out. All right, let's get the rectifier out of the way. Might as well use some titanium bling. And then for the rectifier, got these little standoffs I'll use, made of Delrin. That should hold up just fine. Well, that turned out to be a lot easier than I thought it would be. You can see how I have the cable run. Should have no problems with that, and we have all that open space in the middle. So when we do finally get our airbox in there, this setup should still work. Ideally, this would be flipped with this portion, you know, with the adjustments facing downward, because then you could come right up underneath and adjust it without taking the plastics off or anything. However, it's like going against the natural, I guess, like memory of this line. I tried flipping it and the coil, it just was fighting it so bad. So for now, I'm gonna leave it like this, but honestly, man, I'm happy with it. All right, man, I think it's about time we put our controls in place. So we're gonna put the SBC 720 bar clamps on. Now, I have my hour meter up here. This is where I ran it last time, and I wasn't really considering that it may not work with the Hermosi. However, I think it will fit. I'm gonna put the aluminum bushings in place just up top for right now. And I've got little washers on the back of my plate here because that's gonna space this out just like literally 1 millimeter. And when I do that, there's actually enough room. The only thing is I can't adjust this in the forward position because there's actually 2 holes here. You can adjust it, I guess, like a 1/4 of an inch forward. But for now, I'm gonna run it like this because that fits. We'll leave those washers under there and we'll just see how it feels. We can always move this stuff around. It's always subject to change. I think it'll be easier to assemble all of this and then put it in place. And Hermosi was kind enough to send me all titanium hardware, lightweight, which is fitting for the Voodoo Banshee. Put the lower bushings in place. These actually might be a little bit long, this hardware, because I know before I had an issue with these dragging on the tank guard. When you would turn the steering stem, it would hit down here. Now luckily, I actually have a couple extra titanium bolts that are a little bit shorter. I could cut these, but I think these are like the perfect length. These are the same ones that I got for the rear carrier. They would only come in a 4-pack, so I have 2 extra ones. So instead of cutting these ones down, I think I'm just gonna swap these out. Yep, that's probably gonna be perfect. Saved. I'm gonna put a washer and these ultra low profile nuts. They're actually from the suspension. Man, could that have worked out any better? I can't believe that. With the little space in the middle so you can see the hour meter. And when I tightened it down, now there's no gap in between. So this actually, I lost the last hour meter, so hopefully, I mean, this way, if that thing falls off now, I don't know, man. All right, now these bars are subject to change too. They're ATV high bend, and these Hermosi clamps raise up about 1 inch taller than my previous setup. So it's possible that it could be a little bit too high, but we can always play with that later. Let's get this in place. Put our rubber bushings onto the bars. Put the bushings into the lower clamps. Now put the upper clamps in place. Just thread in some hardware. This is titanium also. Thank you, Hermosi. They knew that the Voodoo Banshee had to be super light. I'm not tightening these down just yet. Now we'll put the lower inner clamp in. The one with the threads goes on the underside. Then our upper clamps, upper inner. Now before I go any further, I want to center up the bars. Now this is a tool that comes with the bar clamps. This is going to make sure that the rubber bushings are far enough in. They're in the right spot. Oh, it actually has little openings. Check that out. It has these openings right in the tool so you can center up your bars with the tool in place. How about that? Pretty cool. And I'm going to tighten these to 18 foot-pounds. And now we can take the tool out and we are installed. All right, now I have to do this. I have to. It's just, there's no options here. I have to see what this thing feels like. Oh no. You've got to be kidding me. So close, but so far. We have interference with the seat latch. The handle for the seat latch comes back really far, and it's hitting our trick new reservoir location. I thought I had earned sitting on the quad, but I guess not. Luckily though, I don't think it's going to be that difficult to fix. I think we just need to lower this mount.
Many minutes later.
All right, reservoir holder V2 has been released. It's a hell of a lot better than the first one. Check it out. Took me about 30 minutes, and I have a couple fixes here. You'll notice this has been reversed. I discovered that this actually spins in here. It's tight, but it does spin. So now There's easy access to adjust that rear shock reservoir, no problem. And all of this still fits nice, and there's no tightness on the wires or anything. The only thing I don't like 100% is how close this is to the exhaust, because you want to keep the fluids in the suspension nice and cool. But there's a solid, I would say a good inch there. That's should be good enough. We should be safe. But we're way up and out of there. You can't even really see it back there. It looks good. And the best part is, check this out. The seat fits without interference. Thank God. This is nice. I have to say, very impressed with the firmness of the seat. Squishing it with my hands, I wasn't so sure. I thought maybe they were just like, yeah, we'll give you a firm compound, and just whipped it up, but it is significantly more stiff than the OEM seat. I like it. All right, let's get our grips on. Use the good old spray paint method. Put our Hermosi thumb throttle in place. These things are freaking sweet, dude. This throttle actually has sealed bearings in it, so you have to grease it up. And then this thumb portion is entirely adjustable too. You can put it up or down, and you can also you can place it anywhere you want. And we'll just lock it up with our set screws. Nice. This is a YFZ 450R master cylinder, completely rebuilt. Put a new sight glass in it and everything. Now I have a dual banjo bolt coming for this, but it's coming in the mail, so for now I'm just gonna put it in place with a regular bolt. And the oldest looking thing on this entire machine, the original switches from 1990, and our clutch lever. Man, those green lines look freaking wicked. Definitely screams Voodoo Banshee. I'm really happy with the way this is turning out. I'm not sure how I feel about these levers. The brake lever feels pretty good, but the clutch lever, I'm not the biggest fan. I just don't like I don't like the adjustment up here. It's like maxed out, and I feel like that's like at the normal range. And it hits up here, which I get it. I mean, that's just like a thing with levers, but the ASV ones usually clear it. The one that came off cleared it. That was an ASV. I'm not sure how I feel about it. The feel is good. I don't really like how this cover covers so far. And if I could trim it, but that would cut the logo in half, so it's gonna look tacky. So it almost looks like they put the wrong guard on here. So I don't know, man, for 160 bucks, I'm not sure that I would recommend the Streamline levers. I think I'd go with ASV over these. But regardless, they're still trick. I like it. All right, I'm about ready to fire this thing up. So I'm gonna mix up our 2-stroke mix. I'm gonna be running Dominator at 32-1 for the first go around, and we're gonna be using pump gas. Transmission oil, I'll be running AMSOIL 10 weight 50 dirt bike oil. Been running this stuff in the 250R and in the Grape Ape, my YZ125, and I really like it. It seems to work really well. All right, man, it is time. I am ready. These past 2 months have felt like 2 years.
I want to stop to take a moment to thank all the companies that are helping to make Project Voodoo Banshee possible. Thank you to Rocky Mountain ATV MC, BP Racing ATV, Kenda Tire, DRW Performance, Hermosi Throttles, Rocket Ron Suspension, Bonehead Performance Coatings, ModQuad, Dave Moore Racing, AP3 Racing, Shellvest Innovations, and Wicked Metal Designs. These are all companies that I trust, and most of them I use on a regular basis. All products and tools in this video will be linked in the description below. If you're interested in these products and you're looking for a way to support the channel, using these links does help me out, and there's no added cost to you. If you're enjoying the video so far, please remember to hit that like button and leave a comment below and consider subscribing. And if you're looking to support the channel even further, there is the option to join. All channel members get guaranteed responses to their YouTube comments. All right, let's get back to the video.
All right, man, here we go. First start on the Voodoo Banshee, running pump gas. I've got the timing set to +4 degrees. We're running 22cc domes.
So these are pump gas domes. I'm going to be switching that. The reason that I'm running these is because I want to get actual seat of the pants feel for difference when you start upping the compression and running different fuels. It should be pretty peaky, and I don't know, we'll just have to see. But most importantly, let's see if it starts. Whew. Slightly nervous. Prime it. Compression feels good. The carbs I synced up by eye. I have no filters on there right now. Okay. Let's double check everything. Plugs are on. Kill switch on. Spark, fuel, and compression. It should start. Try it with the choke. Oh, there we go. It actually seems like it's going to idle. There's no coolant in here, so we can't run it for long.
It sounds really good though.
Cool, man. All right, let's ice her up. Put our engine ice in here. Not the easiest start. Took quite a few kicks, but sometimes that happens on a first start. It sounds like it's running really good though. This way we'll be able to get some heat cycles. Now we got some coolant in there. Make sure we don't have any leaks. Some people were concerned. They thought I was going to forget the little drain bolt on our easy drain, but I did get a low profile. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't leaking, but it looks like we're good.
Just over 165. It's still not really warm yet. I evened out the carbs a little bit more. They were slightly off. Dude, we have to ride this. We have to.
All right, we're trying a new helmet setup here. I got the new GoPro Hero 10 with media mods, and my mic is hooked up, hoping that you guys can hear me, because this will be the first run. It's on the smoky side. That's at 30 to 1 or 32 to 1. I forget. I'm loving what is vibrating. I don't know if that's just going to be the nature of the beast with this thing. Not exactly sure. We'll have to check that out. But we should be okay for a little cruise. Hopefully this lever is pulling in far enough that we don't have any clutch grab. Well, we'll find out in a second here. I have no front brakes, but we do have a little bit of rear brake. So this is just the cruise around. Make sure. I guess we're good. Man, this thing is so small. All right, we got all our gears. It sounds really good though. Wow, dude, this thing pulls. Oh man, I can tell I'm gonna love this thing. At first I was a little questionable about how tight this thing is, but yeah, I just feel like it's gonna hit. It really, it turns so tight, dude. This thing is gonna be a blast. Holy shit, dude. I don't know if it's because of the swing arm just making it feel that much faster, but it sure feels every bit as fast as the 421. The whole idea of a fun trail machine, this is it, dude. This is a fun play machine. Just doing this, I got a huge smile on my face right now, man. Oh, it just sounds so good. The jetting sounds good. I would love to be able to take this to the trails right this moment, dude. Oh. Does that not sound premium? Oh my God. Thumbs up on the sound. These CPIs sound so good. Wow, it's a little nerve-wracking not having front brakes. That's for sure. And then she settles down. Sounds really good too. Oh. Dude. I'm really happy with that. Oh no! Maybe that's why it was vibrating. That'll do it. That will do it.
What a success, man. What a success. Wow, is that fun. Dude, I just can't stress how the excitement is just through the roof to actually get this thing on the trails. This is why you have to do these little testing things though, because certainly that could have been an issue. The pipe would have just fallen off eventually. That's okay though, like I said, that's why we do these test runs, and I'll have to take it to the trails and baby it a little bit too, just to make sure, because that's what happens, you know. There's like 500 bolts you have to tighten down. It's easy to forget just one, and sometimes it's an important one, like a swing arm bolt or something, or a lug nut. I've actually done that. Just axle nuts. Whew. Got to make sure all that stuff is tight. Man, this is awesome. There's two things that I want to address right now, a couple things I don't like. One is I really, really do not like this design that Streamline uses for adjusting, you know, how far you want this your reach to be on this lever. So I'm going to improve the design. I already came up with an idea. Basically, I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to run a set screw diagonally. So I'm going to take care of that. And then I found an issue with my wire harness. I rewired this thing entirely the first time around, and I must have done something wacky because I'm not getting power to one of the high beams. So something isn't right, and I don't think that there should be double wires on this side either. So I'm going to tear that down and just, you know, fix up my wire harness, and then I'll meet you guys back here. I'm going to show you guys how to wire up the LED headlights, because I actually made a video on that years ago, and I'd like to just kind of go over that. All right, I don't know what I was thinking with the wire harness. I have no idea what I was doing, but it's fixed now, all wired up nicely. I had to do a ton of stuff to it. But anyways, let me show you guys how I do these lights. All right, so what we're gonna be doing is converting to these LED work lights. They're 4-inch lights. They come in many different variations. This is probably the most common one right here, this style. This is what I just took off. So I ran these worked fine. In my old tutorial video, there were a number of people that said that these burn out. I don't know what the deal is with that. I never had an issue with mine. Maybe it depends on what kind of state you're running, or I don't know. These are also, you know, they vary in quality. They're very cheap. These were like $20. I think these were like $30. So they're extremely cheap lights, and that's for 2 of them. So, you know, with cheap stuff like that, quality, it's just not going to be consistent. So these ones I chose because not only are the LEDs supposedly supposed to be brighter, but also there's a blue halo on these, which is going to be freaking sweet. So these are only a 2-wire. There's no high or low beam, and these are not high or low beam either. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to set them up so that the low beam is just the blue halo and the high beam is the actual LED light. Now, in every case I've seen, the brackets are just slightly a little too wide for stock. So you can see I took a pencil and just marked where we need to cut down to. All right, the bench is getting crazy messy, man. Messy bench, messy mind, right? I should probably straighten up. All right, so I'm gonna put this in the vise. I'm not gonna squeeze down tight because you could destroy this thing. The rock guard in the front is plastic. It's really not that strong, but you just want it being held nice and firm so it doesn't fly away. That would be bad. Now I'm going to be using a flapper disc. I recommend putting a newer disc on because it kind of gives you a more square edge and a cleaner cut. Very cheap tool. This is a Drill Master. I believe this came from Harbor Freight. It was probably like 20 bucks. And they have the discs there too. So really cheap tools. Considering the price of the light and stuff, you could do this whole thing for under like 50 bucks probably. You want to try to keep it nice and flat and square. Don't go crazy with this. Now, if you don't have a grinder, you could actually do the whole thing with a file. It's just going to be time consuming. I'm just using this to straighten it up. Now we'll flip this over, get the other side. Now I'm going to clean up these. I'm going to use an aluminum burr. You don't have to use a burr. Again, just like the flapper disc, you could actually use a file and take care of this. This is just going to speed up the process. And then you can finish it off with the file if you want. All right, let's see how this fits now. I went a little bit too far. Got a little bit of a gap in there. Now I did that on purpose so that I could show you what to do if you do go too far. It's still fixable. Actually, I totally messed up, but it is really easy to fix. Just use washers. All right, now we're gonna wire these things up. Now, depending on what you have going on with your harness, you probably have a different connector. I put this connector on here myself. These are called Deutsch connectors. I like these because they're waterproof. You can see the rubber seal in here. They're just really good connectors, but you can use any connectors that you want, or you can even just splice the wires together or use butt connectors, whatever you want to use. It's up to you. Anyways, if you want to wire them up the same way as me, your green is your low beam, yellow is your high beam, and black is your ground. And I want to do it so that the low beam is the blue halo. So I have it set this way with the white, that is your halo wire. That's going to go to the green. And then over here, black, and black is the ground. And then red, that is your LED main light. That's going to go to yellow. That'll be your high beam. All right, now, like I said, you can use any connectors you want, and these are actually kind of expensive connectors. So while I do like them and I recommend them, I do understand that not everybody has access to these tools and everything because they take a special tool. But anyways, I'll show you regardless, and you can do them any way that you want. So we're going to cut these wires down about a ½ inch. I'm going to fold these over like so. And then these are our pins. You want all of the wire to be just about entirely covered. You don't want anything exposed. Put that on there like that. And then this is the crimping tool. It's a pretty trick. Crimps it on all 4 sides. It's really tight, really good connection. And then these just pop right through the back. And you would want to orient these correctly with your high beams, low beams, and ground. It snaps in place. And then there's this retainer. This keeps the pins aligned when it's getting plugged in. That clips into place, and then this connector is good to go. Last thing I like to do is just take a little bit of dielectric and put it on our contact surface. That helps with connection and with sealing this from water. All right, now we'll throw this in place. I've got a washer on both sides to make up for that gap. You could probably just tighten this up and squeeze the bracket together and it would work, but this is probably the right way to do it. Let me plug into our harness and we're good to go. All right, check this out. This better work or I'm gonna be pissed. It's getting late, so can't rev the engine or anything, but I'll fire this up, see what it looks like. This better look cool. Now what? What's going on here? What is going on here? Loose wire. Oh, thank the Lord. Oh yeah, dude. Worth the wait. That looks freaking gnarly, dude. That's awesome. It's cool that they're not flickering that much. The LEDs will probably flicker because they take a little bit more power, but especially at idle, they're usually kind of dim. Oh, dude, that looks really cool. Oh yeah. Nice and bright. You can see they flicker. I would rev it up, they stay more consistent, but because it's so late, I'm not going to. They're really bright. Pretty cool. All right, those are actually pretty sweet. So I'm gonna pop those off and paint the little imperfections from grinding away. Oh, and our lever project got put on hold because I broke a tap. So I have to run to the hardware store tomorrow and grab a new tap so I can finish that up. So while the paint's drying on the lights, we'll go ahead, put the plastics on, do the graphics, and we just have our Nerf bars, heel guards, the skid plate, and then it's voodoo time. All right, we've got a little bit of work to do with the plastics. We've got to remove our warning labels, which are riveted on, and we might have to cut the fronts to make space for these CPIs. Well, sure enough, we have a little bit of a clearance issue here. You can see if you come down, the hole's about, I don't know, maybe about an inch away, and we're hitting the pipe. So it's really easy to do. I'm just gonna measure the distance between the two holes, and we're gonna take that much off of there, plus a half of an inch, so it's got a little bit of breathing room. And I'm unsure if I wanna cut just a big circle to match the pipe, or if I wanna do like I did last time and come over and down on the whole thing so it looks like it's factory. Unclear. I have a pretty good eye for this stuff, so I usually kind of just eye it up. So it is about an inch, so I'm gonna come 1.5 inches over. That's about where it would be cut if we actually form it to the pipe. I don't know though, it might look kind of goofy. Executive decision, we're just gonna cut them all the way down because otherwise I think it's gonna look too jank. All right, we're gonna cut the plastics with this little Dremel cutoff wheel. It's a real thin one. These things are awesome for cutting plastics. And you can get them, I think you can get them at Walmart. I don't know, I got them on Amazon, but they're cheap and they work really well. Just makes your life a lot easier. You just can't turn with them because sometimes the blade will snap. So you just have to kind of go notchy, and then afterwards we'll go in and we'll round it out. Now I'm gonna use this sanding drum to round it out and clean it up. Also, you can get these on Amazon. And then on the opposite side, you just got this little bit of remnants. You can kind of fold that back and forth. And then it kind of just peels and scratches away with your thumbnail. And then look at that, dude. That's like, that looks like a brand new factory OEM cut. All right, let's see what we got. Oh yeah, plenty of room now. Nice and clean. And the last thing I'm gonna change about the plastics is get rid of these warning labels. So I'll just drill the 1/8 inch rivets out. You don't wanna press when you drill these because that can make them spin. Sometimes they still do, but they're less likely to spin if you just kind of let the drill do the cutting. Oh, this one's spinning like right off the bat. There we go. You can see they want to spin. Pain in the ass. These are actually glued in place, so we'll see if using the heat gun helps it come off a little bit easier. I already got the one on the back that says no, you can't have 2 riders on there. Maximum vehicle load, 220 pounds. That's like already about to break that. But yeah, you gotta heat these things up and this should help out. My God. And then we've got these front ones. These ones are on like placards. I'm not sure if those are glued on or not. This is the first time I'm dealing with them. About to find out. Oh man, that makes it really easy. You can see they're raised up. I actually thought that these were a part of the plastics originally, and I was like, dude, you'll never be able to put graphics over top of that. But that's actually pretty nice. $372.42 if anybody wants them. And if you give me my asking price, I'll throw in the rivets. Put our carbon tank cover on from Banshee Taco. Oh yeah, carbon fiber, 22 horsepower gain. That does look sweet though. Man, just when I thought it was over, it wasn't. The radiator cover would not fit over this radiator. I remember with the old setup as well, you really had to stuff it on there to make it fit. So the top of the radiator just wasn't going far back enough. So this bolt up here that goes through has the threads on the back side also. So I chopped this down about 1/4 of an inch so that the radiator will sit back 1/4 of an inch. And now hopefully we will be good. It is 3 a.m. right now, Friday, but I want to finish this. Oh, thank God, it fits. man, this thing really came out nice. Oh, and I did finish my lever mod up here. You can see how that has a lot more clearance. I like that a lot better. So we'll see if the basin is dry. We'll take her down there and give her a launch or two. Oh, please be dry. All right, I don't know that I'm ready to get her all muddy just yet, but we'll give her a launch or two. I feel like this is an obligation. It just wouldn't be right not to do this. Should we jump right to second gear? Why not? Woo! Yeah, dude. I was not expecting that. Man, it hooks. It definitely hooks. I think that short swing arm, not just because it's short, but you're right. Your weight is right on top of it too. I think that. Let's give it another one. Oh man. Oh, this thing is gonna be a blast. Oh, it's muddy. Man, this thing is a handful. It's gonna take some getting used to. Oh man, this thing is a blast. Once it gets in that power band, it's got like excessive power. Unfortunately, we got to wrap it up though because people don't really appreciate this kind of thing in this area, so we got to be respectful and we'll pack her up. First bath already in the books. All right, let's do this. All right, we're gonna do this the same way that we did the first time around with the bathroom scales. The first time around, we were 404 pounds with a weight bias of 52 in the front and 48 in the back. I'm gonna guess 386 pounds. 386. What if it was heavier? I'd be so disappointed. 89 on the dot, 113.8. That's weird. Why is it so heavy on this side? 113.8, 103.5, 75.3. Wonder if the garage has like a slight tilt to it or something, because remember last time the left side was heavier too. I'm liking that 75 pounds in the right rear though. All right, let's do the math here. The front is 89 plus 113.8, 202.8, and the rear is 178.8, 381.6. So overall, that's good. 381.6. I think I'm just a little confused because the front end is still really heavy. So I'm actually really happy with the weight loss. We lost 22.6 pounds. That's more than what I expected. I think I'm just confused because I feel like we took so much weight off of the front end and it's still almost the same. These are the original weights. It was originally 207.8 in the front with a 52% bias. Now it's 202.8 with a 53% bias. So we actually, we created a worse front end bias here. So, you know, I have to take into consideration that the scales are not 100% accurate. However, I would say we probably really did lose a little over 20 pounds. It's definitely realistic. I can feel it in picking up the ATV and moving it around. And the rear end is definitely noticeably lighter. So this may be more accurate than we think. The one thing that is different though is the amount of gas in there. When we did the first weight around, there was literally almost no gas in the machine. And now there's, I'm gonna say a quarter tank of gas. That probably weighs like 5 pounds. So If you consider that, we probably lost like over 25 pounds, and the tank is like kind of towards the front of the machine, so maybe that's why. If we dropped 5 more pounds in the front, it would even out the bias a little bit better. So we'll just go with that. So the Voodoo Banshee is complete, man. We lost over 20 pounds. I'm gonna say that we really lost, I'm gonna say close to 25 pounds. I really do think there's a difference in fluids here, and I would say, realistically, I'd say it probably would be in like the 375 range if everything was exactly the same as when, fluid-wise, when we tore the machine down. And the Nerf bars are wet too from washing it. That is a thing. Anyways, I'm super excited to dive into this thing. There's a few more mods that I want to do to it. The project is definitely, I would call complete, but I'd like to do things like I want to shave the seat down and lower that a little bit. That's something I've never done before. I also want to switch out the domes. The domes that are in there currently are the pump gas domes, and I didn't even plan to use those, but I thought it would be cool to get a seat of the pants feel. So when people ask me about, what domes are on, if I really recommend it and stuff, I can say like, yeah, honestly, you will get more torque if you put in the higher compression domes, which is what I expect to happen. I plan to take this to the trails. We'll do an ass dyno, of course. And, there's something about this project that I've just discovered recently is that this is serval ported. This whole time I thought we had Cub ported cylinders. So these are actually, the porting in this top end is actually designed for more low end and mid-range power, which, technically speaking, that would be more desirable for a trail and play Banshee. I really wanted the peaky power, but hey man, I really love the way this thing performs, but I wanted to let you guys know that this is serval ported, and if you do go ahead and get those Cub cylinders, I already recommend them. Even with the pump gas domes, I would say it's significantly more powerful than stock. So if you do want to pick those up, they're made by CPI and they're available only through BP Racing. You can find them on bpratv.com. Use my promo code for 10% off. It's Sabo10. Now you may be wondering what this black YouTube box is right here. Well, this has been sitting inside on my desk since January. This came in the mail about a week after I hit 100,000 subscribers, and I think it's my award for meeting that. And you have no idea how bad I've wanted to open this thing. I've worked for 5 years to earn this, but I didn't feel that it was right to open it without you guys. And it was tough, man, but I really just wanted to open it on camera with you guys. I have to look at this thing every single day on my desk, and I've just wanted to open it so bad. This better be cool. Oh. Wow. Wow, that is really nice. It's actually made of metal too. I don't think the whole thing is, but like the surface is definitely metal. It's heavy. Do you remember your first subscriber, your 100th or your 1000th subscriber? Chances are you do. We know that you'll definitely remember your 100,000th subscriber. Wow. They've got a nice little letter here. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. The reason that I wanted to open this in this video though is because we surpassed the 100,000 subscriber mark when I first started this project. And I've been working really hard for like 5 years to kind of like make this dream of becoming an actual YouTuber a reality. And while companies and sponsors help out and everything, I can't do this without each and every one of you. So I actually have 100K right on the graphics because you guys, you're my #1 sponsor, and I don't know, man, I just couldn't do it without you guys. A lot of hard work has gone into this channel. There's a lot of stuff that people don't see on screen, but I get DMs, literally multiple DMs a day of people cheering me on and pushing me forth and stuff. And if it wasn't for those messages and comments and stuff, I probably would have given up along the way. YouTube is not exactly the most lucrative career, especially not in the beginning, but it can develop into something awesome. And I just couldn't have made it this far without you guys. And I think it's just so cool that this machine is an example of how far I've come personally in my my wrenching abilities and building abilities, and you guys have been with me the whole way, man. The first time around building this Banshee is what started the YouTube channel, and for those of you that have followed since then, you can see how much I've progressed. I mean, I used to do some stuff that I'd be shaking my head at right now looking back at the stuff I used to do back then, but the whole idea is to share all these experiences with you guys. And I'm always saying, you can watch me suffer and break my hands and all that stuff and screw up and then get it right, and then you guys don't have to go through all that stuff. And it's awesome to see your guys' projects. I get a lot of DMs of people sending in their projects and things they've built and stuff, and it's awesome to grow as a community and hopefully make the building community in general, not just ATVs but dirt bikes, side by sides, cars, everything. It's nice to just have like a positive area for everybody to grow, and we try to do stuff right and make some fast machines and all just have a really good time. So I hope you guys enjoyed the Voodoo Banshee series. This one is for you guys. If you ever see me out on the trails or whatever, stop me, come check out the quad if I'm ever at an event or anything. I appreciate everybody watching. If you haven't seen the beginning of the series, I definitely recommend going back and seeing the details of what went into, especially the engine, but just the engineering of this machine in general. It is definitely a lightweight, feeling much lighter weight anyways than it was, more nimble. Everything feels nice and tight. It's just a better machine than it was before, a much better setup. We're gonna have a lot of fun with this machine. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider giving it a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. Also, consider leaving a comment in the comment section below. That's another thing that helps me out tremendously. And don't forget to subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video. If you're looking to support the channel even further, there is the option to join. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. You guys still there? I wanted to reward the people that stayed all the way to the very end. So, check this out. Boom! That's some voodoo magic for you right there, baby. Now we're in voodoo mode. Gotta say, I'm pretty proud of that one. I've been working on some magic tricks, and don't worry though, I can put it back. Got the old plastics right there. These are those Chinese plastics that just wouldn't fit, man. And even with cutting these off, it was still really difficult to get them on there. And by the way, guys, I completely stand by my original assessment of these things. As far as fitment goes, man, they suck. Highly do not recommend, but at least we got some nice drag plastics out of it. By the way, if you're wondering what you save if you cut your plastics, 2.574 pounds. And these will be for sale for 600 bucks. Just trying to get my money out of them. That's what I paid for them. So this is the way I'd have it set up for the dunes, not for full-blown drag racing mode, but just to be a dooner. I think we've got quite a bit of weight off. For one, the wheels are a huge thing. Got the clunky heel guards off, the Nerf bars we took off, and I didn't take the skid plate or the rear skids off or the stabilizer, but I have the weights of all that stuff recorded so we can subtract that. I want to throw this on the scale and see what it weighs in voodoo mode. I was thinking about it, and we probably picked up some weight in the front end with those dual brake calipers. So if we really wanted to get crazy and do drag racing weight, we could actually take the front brakes off entirely. It's crazy how much weight you save with just changing your wheels and tires. All right, are you ready for this? In the current condition that it is right now, it weighs 344.9. If we subtract the skid plates and the stabilizer, that's 10.9 pounds. That brings it down to 334 on the dot. From the original weight of 404.2, we saved 70.2 pounds. That is crazy, dude. 70 pounds, man. That is crazy. And to make it even more wild, the +1 J-arms that I'm having made for this are supposed to be, I'm gonna guess, about 2 pounds lighter per side. So that'll be another 4 pounds there. That would bring us almost to 75 pounds lost. I would probably also put a +4 or a +6 swing arm in the back. Now it's gonna be a drag swing arm, so it would be lighter, but because it's longer, I'm gonna say it'll probably be around the same weight there. But overall, dude, that's like a 75-pound weight loss. This thing is gonna be crazy fun in the dunes, man. I can't wait to bring it out there. I appreciate everybody that stayed till the very last moment of this video. Please leave a comment in the comment section below if you stid this long. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.